Hey, this is Rex, that energy guy. Glad to have you with us from Energy Advisors. Glad to have you on the show with us today. This episode is going to talk about changing your perspective and looking at a long range plan for your energy consumption, generation, etc. Now, a little bit of housekeeping, just like normal, regardless of the platform you've tuned in with us today. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications, and you can find us anywhere, regardless of where you found us today. We're out there in any place you can find a video platform or podcast platform. All right. Today, I want to help us change our perspective on energy. Energy is one of our largest bills that we have out there, roughly about 20% in our lives. And we don't stop and think about that. Most of us are working under the guise of a monopoly. So our power, electricity, gas, and also our providers are basically a one-sided relationship. We pay them. So I want you to start thinking a little differently. All right. So if I was going to go on a diet, which I need to, what am I going to do? I'm going to establish some baselines. So I'm going to check my weight, look at my calorie consumption. I'm going to basically look at my exercise, my sleep, the amount of water or other liquids that I'm drinking. I'm going to create a baseline. I'm going to start from a place to measure. Well, the same you need to do with your energy consumption and generation. Now, it's not just all about consumption. We're going to also talk generation. All right. So one of the first things we want to talk about is average power consumption, and it's going to be different by state. And you can find lots of places on the internet to find this. Here in Colorado, I'm going to talk Colorado a little bit because I'm a little more familiar with it, about 704 kilowatts per month. So if you multiply that out, you're going to be about, let's see, 8,400 kilowatts a year, roughly. Around the United States, the numbers average, and you're about 10,000 kilowatts per year is what your consumption is going to be. Now, the average American home has 53 devices. Have you ever gone through your house and counted the things that are powered by electricity? Now, I'm not just talking major things like your appliances, your refrigerator, televisions. You may have heat that's generated by this. You may heat your water by electricity, but start to look at everything, all your calculators, all your computers, all your video games, all your toys, your clocks, etc. The average household has 53 of them. Now, when you're looking at devices, you need to start looking at energy consumption. All right. So how much are these things consuming? What is my cost? So most of the newer products in the marketplace today will have efficiency ratings on them. And you can find this information by Googling if it's not on the packaging, but start to think that way. How much am I consuming? All right. Then how about some behaviors? When am I consuming? Here in Colorado, we have this goofy thing under the monopoly that we live in for most of the state from Xcel Energy. It's called time of use. Now, they've been putting these smart meters in, and we kind of like to joke in this industry, they're smart for the monopoly, they're not so smart for the consumer. Here in Colorado, they essentially just charge you a lot more for daytime use of power than nighttime. For an example's sake, I live under the guise of Xcel Energy, and from 1 to 3 p.m., they charge me double. And from 3 to 7, when everybody's home, they charge me triple. So it's basically a way to somewhat motivate people to change their consumption behaviors, but we don't think about that. I might be working from home. I need to do that last minute load of laundry. We shouldn't do any of that between 1 and 7 p.m. because they are just raking us over the coals with that. So you need to start looking around. What can I charge over the weekend? What things can I operate at night? When do I want to pay attention to my consumption so it's not costing me money? All right. So you want to establish a baseline, and it's pretty simple. Get a copy of your bill. All right. Go over the last 12 months and see how many kilowatts you're consuming, and then see how many thermals of gas, if you have natural gas like I do, that you're consuming. You have historical records. You can get that from your utility company, and they'll help you get that data. It's your data, it's your consumption. Because remember, we're all under the guise, most of us, of a monopoly with these utility companies, and we just kind of keep paying them and keep dealing with these increases in their rates. All right, so consumption. Start to think about your consumption. That's important. The next thing to do is energy generation. And some of you might say, hey, whoa, Rex, I don't generate any electricity. Well, maybe you need to get on that path. 2 years ago, I'm recording this in the summer of 2023. So in 2021, my family and we implemented solar on our house. We worked with a fairly reputable company that helped us design a system that meets our needs. And currently, I've changed the relationship with the monopoly. They actually purchase electricity from me. So I'm no longer their customer, they're my customer. Now, the way my system works, I don't have a large battery storage, but that's about to change. I push on a reverse meter, a two-way meter, I push electricity back onto the grid during the time that the sun is shining. So I'm creating enough, generating enough electricity that I'm actually positive. I'm actually getting credits and cash back from my power company. The next thing I'm looking at is an additional possibility of adding wind. Now, there are apps out there that you can take a look at your wind patterns out there. Wind, residential and small business wind systems are coming online. They have become much more efficient. They're not these big, obnoxious, three-bladed rotating things that look ugly on your house. You can actually do some fairly Art Deco looking. It looks like a can that rotates and can be placed on your home or business without this big obnoxiousness. And so what I've done in my change of things is I've started to look long term. Now, thanks to the wonderful solar system I have, which was the biggest impact I could add to my house, I'm not going to have a utility bill, an electrical bill when I retire. Yes, I've made the investment and I make the payments to invest in my solar, but that loan runs out, and thanks to the tax deductions that I get from that, and there are new tax deductions that came online thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, and so it really becomes a financial decision. There are people out there who really think solar is sort of this environmental thing, and that's awesome. Everybody wants a clean world. The question is, how do we get there? But for me, and my personal choice, taking a look at solar was basically a way to cut my costs, and then I started thinking long term. So I want you to change your perspective. I want you, as you shop, I want you to look for things that are more efficient. I want you to examine how you're heating your home, how you're cooling your home. And another big one is heating your water. You should probably be looking at tankless water heaters or other on-demand water heater type systems. And then also, too, maybe it's time to look at the efficiency of your furnace, your efficiency of your air conditioning. The average system there from HVAC, their life expectancy is about 15 years. And what you're going to want to do is find out how old is your unit. Now, if you don't know, if you have a home and you're a second or third buyer, maybe fourth buyer, an easy way to do this is to go out and take a picture of the model number and the serial number, and then go Google it, because you can find out the age of your air conditioner, and the same with your furnace and your water heater. If you do that, then you can do an analysis, and there's lots of websites out there like EnergyBot. There's several you can just Google, and you can go and see what the efficiency ratings are of your appliances, your major appliances, because you consume a lot with them, and start to get a baseline. Now you might think, oh my goodness, Rex, you're crazy. Who has time for this? Well, I do, because I make time for it, because it impacts my wallet. All right. So I want to be in a situation where when I retire, and If I'm like a lot of Americans on a tight budget, I want to make sure that my costs going forward are either eliminated or dramatically reduced. And you can do it today. Now, what you're going to want to take a look at too is strategies for storage of electricity, because you may be in a situation where you're pushing more onto the grid and you could store some of that. And when I add wind to my house, I'm excited about that because I'm going to create another round of level of storage that I'm creating. So that's it today. That's all I wanted to talk about, is changing your mindset. We financial plan. We hopefully plan for our health. We plan for what we're going to do in our retirement. We plan for how we're going to roll as our kids get older and my grandkids come along. Well, it's time to start thinking long term on your energy consumption and generation. And if it's done right, you can get independent. You can be in a situation where you no longer are reliant on these monopolies. And you're going to switch from a centralized model to a distributed model where you're actually creating your own power. So stop and do it. Take a look at it. There's lots of tools online. We have lots of resources on our website, energyadvisors.today. And I also have a free analysis where you can get on. And just about 30 states nationwide, we can get you in contact with someone from our team or our partners who can help you through this analysis. Thanks to the Building Performance Institute, there's lots of measures out there. My firm holds a certification, and we can go clear all the way down to pressure tests, so we can see where you might have leaks. So depending on what your veracity is, depending on what your passion is with this, you can get it to where you can see what your house is doing, what your business is doing. All right. Well, listen, great to have you with us today. We got some great guests coming up, some people who've been in the thick of policy in the United States, policy and local levels, and we're going to be digging into the topics of what's happening with tax credits and incentives and new technologies as we go along. So make it a great day and start to think a little bit different about your energy generation and consumption.